Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cat Talk here on GreenCountyHeraldOnline.com. I'm Russell Turner. This is my good friend Nick Chatham, AD here at Greene County High School. And Nick, I just want to say, man, how good it felt to get back out on the football field Friday night.
Man, it was a great atmosphere. You know, I told somebody the other day, one of the biggest crowds I've seen in years, and I've been hanging around here a long time. And I think everybody was just super excited to be able to get out and to have something to go to. And it was the first game of the season, man. The band was rocking, the grills were fired up. You had the annual steak dinner ahead of time, which was a great success. And thank you guys for contributing to that, and like you do every single year. And man, the whistles blowing, and just it's football, man. And then just a great atmosphere.
I agree. It was still, you know, a little warm and a little humid, but man, I just enjoyed it, just being out there in that situation and seeing so many people, you know, that come out for that game. And you know, obviously the players and the fans might be a little bit disappointed in the final outcome, but you know, when I look at it and I talk to, you know, the coaches, I think there was a lot of positives that came out of that game for our team and our school as a whole. And you know, when you look at it and you look at the first half and how well we competed, I just think, and I'm sure you believe the same thing, that we can build on that.
Well, you know, and I'm not making excuses by any stretch of the imagination, but anytime you line up against a big high school like that, I almost said 6A, but George County moved down to 5A, you're talking about a school that's got almost triple the amount of kids that we have. And usually where that bigger school takes over is in that second half, when they've got that depth that you don't have. I think that's exactly what happened Friday night. Is we were hanging with them until halftime, and then their depth and their numbers kind of took over there toward the end. So.
Right. Well, and I see it the exact same way, you know, and I'll say this about George County, you know, they have a lot of talented kids on that team, and they're extremely well coached. I don't know, you know, the coaches like I've known some of them in the past, but just seemed to be very well prepared for the game, and they came out and they played hard too. And tip your hat to them. You know, they won the game, and you know, I'm just once again excited that we get to continue that rivalry year in and year out. And you know, it's like Coach King was saying last episode. You know, hopefully there's some other rivalries that we can have going down, because that's what makes football you know, fun to me.
You know, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball as well, in a sense, because you know, most people kind of forget this, but we made a head coaching change just a month before the season. That's a pretty big deal. Of course, we had to bring in a new defensive coordinator midway through last year, and that's a big deal. Those are things that we're still adjusting to, and we're still trying to get our feet, find out who we are as a team. And I think anytime you can line up and play against somebody else, that helps you in that regard.
Yeah, and you know, we competed real hard early. I thought we played, you know, pretty well in the first half, missed some opportunities, and we'll get into that a little later. But overall, I thought it was a good first game. You know, once again, after the kids got over the letdown, I think they've got something that they can build on, and I think our coaching staff does a really good job of that. Anything else from that ball game that stood out from you? I know we had a lot of people. We had Coach Mainsworth was here. Coach Al Jones.
Brett Favre was here.
Yeah, I mentioned him a little bit in my preview, but to me, you know, Brett Favre's great, but Johnny Ainsworth's Johnny Ainsworth.
That's right. Always good to have Coach Ainsworth back. Of course, his name is on the stadium, and he's doing well. He's healthy again and being himself, and just great to have him. And I just like to say, you know, to have that many people in one place and to have zero problems says a lot about George and Greene County both as fans and just as human beings. And it's a rivalry, but at the end of the day, we're there to support the kids, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And you know, I 10, 15 years ago, I might not have said this, but I wish them well, you know, moving forward. And I think they've got a chance to have a really solid season themselves, and I think we do too. I think we've got a real chance to have a solid football team by the time we get into region play.
Right, and I say this in baseball all the time, but it's the same in every sport. It's not about how you start. It's where you're at come playoff time. You know, you want to be peaking come playoff time, and you got to take these losses like the George County loss and any other loss that we get and build on those so that you are peaking when the time comes. I would much rather be 0-4 to start the year and go to the state championship as opposed to be 7-2 and get knocked out in the first round.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, and I think we've got our shot. We've just got to keep growing and keep getting better. Tell me about some other things that's going on at the school right now.
Well, volleyball's still going. Thankfully, we're all starting to get healthy. Knock on wood, but COVID has kind of slowed down here at the school, and that's a great thing. And we're starting to get back and just kind of getting a routine. We're going to talk about schedules a little bit next week, but man, schedules are always changing because of COVID and because of other schools.
Right.
So just stay tuned to the Facebook page and check your kids and make sure they're giving you the right things, and just a lot of good things going on.
Right. In a few minutes, we're going to have Coach Jamil on to talk about the defense a little bit, but also esports. So that's exciting. We've also got Garrett West, who's coming on with us, a GCHS alumni and now volunteer coach for baseball and football. So we've got a lot to talk about today, a lot to hash out. So we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to have Coach King's post-game interview, let him talk a little bit about the game, and then we'll get into those other things. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Here's a scenario. Work has sent you cross-country. You drive 2,000 miles, eat something that resembles food, and seal the deal with a room full of strangers. Now you have a big old check, which means you hold in your hands the future of your company. But wait, you have the Singing River Federal app, which means you and thousands of others like you can bank wherever you are. So no more worries, except for whatever you ate. Singing River Federal, the better way to bank, wherever you are.
All right, Coach, I know that's not exactly how you wanted your first game to go, but there were a lot of positives. Tell me about your game and what you think about it right now.
Well, it felt like first half, kind of went the way we had planned it, except right there at the end, we weren't able to capitalize on a short field. I think the kicking game hurt us a little bit early on. Their field position was just almost completely in their favor, and so that was something that hurt us. But right there at halftime, we went in 13-7 and felt really good about the second half. But in our depth and our conditioning, our in-game kind of conditioning, kind of caught up with us there in third quarter.
Well, you expect a little bit of that going up against a team in that class, but it did. Some of your key players never really got into the game, and that's just part of it this time of year. But right there before half, you had an opportunity to put some points on the board, and I think that was a big swing in the game. You would have gotten the opening kickoff of the third, and so. Right.
Yeah, we kind of probably, I guess we outsmarted ourselves down there. We kind of cat and mouse. We called timeout, they called timeout. They had a look that we felt good about, that we thought we could capitalize on, but they called timeout, made an adjustment, and I think we overthought the thing.
Right.
And it would have been awesome to be able to punch it in down there. But give their defense credit, they kind of bowed their necks down there and tightened up and did a good job of shutting the door on us.
Right, and when the wheels start to come off a little bit, it's kind of tough. I know you were talking to your kids about keeping their heads up. How do you move forward from this? You've got another big game next weekend against another big school. So what's your next step?
I think we just keep moving forward with what we've talked about from this point on. First game we've played, we knew we weren't going to be in game shape, and honestly, I don't know if conditioning is the answer right now, other than just playing more games and getting more experience under our belt. And when you play a team that pulls from a school with 1,000 kids, and you got 500 kids, and Hancock's going to be the same way, maybe and then some next week. We're going to keep that in perspective, and we're not going to double down and beat them up too much on Tuesday. We're going to love on them and encourage them and hope that we come out of this. And playing these opponents like this in non-division, bigger schools, it's tough, but it helps us when we get to our division.
Absolutely, and from that, when you watch film in the first half, you're going to see a lot of positives. I mean, a lot of positives.
Absolutely.
And your kids were playing extremely hard, and there's something to be learned from what happened to you in the second half. So,
right.
And I think y'all do a good job with that. Any particular thoughts on the defensive side that you thought were real positive?
I felt like they were the main reason in the first half that we were able to stay in the ball game, because like I said, with the short field position they had early on, that we didn't really give them anything. We made them earn it. So I was really proud of that, but most importantly, I was proud of our guys' effort on the defensive side of the ball. We had some guys that were playing as hard when we were down 3 or 4 scores as they did when we kicked the thing off. And so that's all I can ask out of these guys, and we're going to figure it out. We'll keep moving in the right direction. Hopefully, get this thing turned around.
Well, I know you will, and I know you'll get it turned around. I'm excited about what I saw, and I think there's some good opportunities ahead. So, good luck. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it.
All right, folks, we're back with Coach Paul Jamil. He's the defensive back coach for the Wildcats and also the new e-sports coach here at Greene County High School. Got a big game this weekend, Coach, against Hancock. Can you tell us a little bit about that team?
Yeah, they rely heavily on the run game. You know, they play hard. They play fast. They're good at what they do, and we're gonna have to give a lot of effort this week if we want to match the intensity that they bring. You know, and I think we're ready for it. Good deal, absolutely. Nick, I don't know if you've had a chance to see any of the film on Hancock. What little bit I watched looked like they're pretty solid in the run game. A couple of good running backs, but what I really was impressed with was their receivers catching the ball. They seemed to. I didn't notice that they stretched the field a lot, but they seem to get open and do a good job of catching it when it's thrown at them, and the quarterback throws well on the run. Is that what y'all are preparing for? It is. With them, everybody, like I said, just plays really hard, gives a lot of effort, and so for a defensive back or a secondary, trying to defend a pass when everything looks like the run or everything looks the same,
right.
It's going to build space for the receivers because it looks like they're running full speed every play. You can't tell what's running, what's pass, what's pass. So.
Well, it's another big 6A school and another good opportunity for us to test ourselves. And Nick and I have talked about this multiple times. At this point in the season, as coaches, you're preparing for the region schedule.
Right.
Everybody wants to win week in and week out. And we're certainly going to go down there this week to win. But we also know that it's just a matter of trying to get ready for those first region games.
Mm-hmm. Right. Playing these big schools early on is just – it's huge for a program like ours. We do the same thing in baseball. We play up and hope that prepares us for our division schedule, like you said. And it's going to pay off in division. I remember there was one year, I think maybe 03 or was it 13 that we went back to state.
State, yeah.
And I think we started out 0-5 in football or something like that.
0-4.
Yeah, 0-4. So these games are definitely they count and they matter, but they're preparing us for something bigger in the future. So
right, big turnaround game that year was Niceville. We went down there and competed real well. We lost, but we competed real well, and that team suddenly had a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you want to execute, and you want to get the kids some playing time, but you want to come out of it with confidence that you can play.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Well, that's good, and I hope we travel well like we normally do, because typically in these games we'll go and we'll have as many people as the home team, even on these big schools. But I think Hancock's got a pretty big following. But I hope the Wildcat fans come out and force like they typically do.
Great crowd Friday night.
Oh, absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier, but tell us a little bit about esports. That's a new thing here at Greene County High School.
So I think last year was the first year, or I'm not sure if it was the first year, but I think last year was one of the first years that Mississippi had made it an official varsity sport. So I had a couple of kids come up to me and ask me, can we do it, because they wanted to play on their own. And then I brought it up to Coach Bray. Things didn't pan out the way in time, just time limits on certain things, getting signed up and whatnot. So we kind of missed that season. But then this year we came right out and designated me to do it. And so we're going for it. They've added a couple of different games to the choices, and we've got a bunch of kids. We got a bunch of interest in it. I was surprised at how much interest, but we're looking forward to it. The season starts at the end of this month, actually.
Now, is that a co-ed kind of thing,
It is.
or do girls compete against girls?
No, the teams are chosen based off the game or whatever it is that they're going to compete in.
Right.
And each game has its own kind of requirements, or it might be a single-person team, or it might be a 5-person team. But it could be a mixture, for sure. So we have all kinds of people. We have athletes that came from maybe baseball or football, mingling with maybe people that are only involved in the esports. So I mean, it's a good opportunity for kids that maybe haven't gotten out there and haven't tried these other sports to kind of mix and talk with one another and get to know one another. So I mean, it's been pretty interesting putting it together so far, and pretty fun.
Well, that's fantastic. I've seen some of that on television, and the way they do it, you can kind of view the game as it's in play. And I'm curious if the Activities Association will try to figure something out. Like, they probably won't on individual matches or whatever you want to call it, but at championship level, they might very well do that. So
and they do have it at an individual level also. They can stream their games. They have a program that allows them to set up a stream and show themselves if they want, if they're playing. So,
well, fantastic. My only question is, how do you in this situation, how do you limit practice? Because I know when, even when I try to play a video game, it's addictive, and next thing you know, you've been on the screen for 3.5, 4 hours. So that's one question. How would you manage that part, or can you manage that part?
I think, as far as the practice goes, what they do at home and kind of away from that is on, is what they're doing. But as far as the practice goes, certain games, even though this seems kind of silly, but certain games, Madden or whatever it may be that they're competing in is they're meant to be played in a certain way. And so I guess very few people think about the strategy behind the actual game itself. And so I think that practice would consist of the strategy for that type of game, and then their own gameplay is kind of on them, for practice. But that's my plan, at least, to limit practice, is to focus on the gameplay that's specific to that type of game and what's successful, because there are roles given out to certain games and stuff.
I was trying to figure out if they have to have a physical or not to play the sport. This is very new to us, for sure.
Well, congratulations to y'all, and my compliments to the school in recognizing that this is an opportunity to get more kids involved in something. And a lot of people don't appreciate video games. They think it's a distraction or whatever, but to my way of thinking, if a kid's passionate about something and you can funnel that passion in the right direction, then it's a good thing. And I love the idea that you're getting some kids involved that might not be involved in other things. So,
and I'll say this as well, Russell, I don't even know if I can say this. If not, then we can edit it out. But it's a new sport here at the school, and anytime you start a new sport, it costs money. And some of these kids are having to pay out of pocket. So I don't know, I made this up on the fly, but if anybody would like to maybe donate or sponsor a kid, we'd love for that to happen as well.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Cool. Well, good deal. Appreciate you coming on with us, and I'm sure we'll have you back later to talk more about the esports state championship that we're going to win this year in our first try. Folks, we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to bring Garrett West on to talk a little bit about JV football and just the fun of coaching at your own school. Be back in a second.
The mission of Greene County Farm Bureau is to provide you with unmatched customer service and attention. If you're looking for home, auto, or life insurance, you should definitely give Jared Lott or Tyler Bray a call to learn more about the full line of insurance and financial services they have available. It's easy to find out if you're getting the type of coverage you need at the best possible rates. Just drop by and see Jared or Tyler at 812 Main Street in Leakesville, or give them a call at 601-394-2801.
All right, welcome back, folks. We're here with Garrett West, a future coach here at Greene County High School. Garrett's a former player of mine, and he has donated his time ever since he finished college. He went to, you started out at Pearl River playing football. He's dealt with injuries his whole career. We won't even start naming all those injuries, but he went on last year. He was playing baseball at Southeastern Bible College, and now he's come back and donated his time as a coach. He is a future coach, like I said earlier, and a great young man. I'm blessed to have him on my baseball staff for sure, and he is a great addition to our school and anything that he does, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. So we're happy to have him on, and we want to ask him some questions and just let you get to know him a little bit. And Garrett, if you would start out by just telling us a little bit about your coaching experience so far over the past couple years.
It's been enjoyable. It started out with baseball, and that was pretty fun because I'm not that far out of it. So still being around it and being a part of it on the other side of the fence, I guess I would say, is really fun. And being around football and Coach King and Coach Dungan and all those bright football minds is fun as well. I'm learning just as much as the kids every day.
Yep. Well, I think that's, you mentioned that, and I tell people all the time how blessed we are with the coaching staff that we have in all of our sports. You talk about people like Dale Kimball, Coach Bray in the principal's office, Nick, and the success that he's had, and Coach, veterans like Coach Dungan. That's got to be a blessing to you as a young coach. What do you see yourself doing down the road? You want to be a head baseball, head football, head esports?
Honestly, I don't know. I guess whatever way the road goes, and that's the way we're going to take it, I guess.
Okay. What about your classroom subjects? What are you?
Mostly right now I'm taking kinesiology.
Okay.
I'm in the School of Kinesiology and Health Sciences, So a lot of PE
Right.
stuff right now, 'cause that's my major. One class is secondary PE, so that's basically what I'll be doing if I'm working at the high school level, and also adapted PE, and it's a different twist to it, and it's really enjoyable to just learn about that kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're super excited that you're going into the coaching field. You know, we honestly, just to put it out there, we've always kind of struggled getting coaches in here just because of our geographic location and some other factors. And anytime we get one of our own who decides to branch out and go into coaching, we're excited about that, and we hope that Garrett comes back here and has a great career at Greene County High School. So very, very excited about that. And when you think about Garrett, sometimes when you think about a graduate assistant or student assistant, you kind of think of them laying back and just kind of watching. But Garrett's a hands-on, very mature young man who gets in there and mixes it up with the kids and is not afraid to be the authority figure. And it's just a great addition, like I said earlier. So, in saying that, Garrett, tell us a little bit about the JV football game the other night.
The JV football game went pretty good. We come out 14-0. The defense, Coach Jordan had them fired up and ready to go. I don't think Northeast got a first down.
Oh, wow.
They were,
Nice.
defense was flying around making plays, and the offense really did well as well. We ran the ball with authority and just punched them in the face to begin with and went with it.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, you know, the JV program is as Nick well knows, and as you will know, if you don't already get into coaching, you've got to have it. You know, you just cannot get enough reps in, you know, games, varsity games, if you don't do that. And it doesn't matter how much you practice. We talked about that. That game experience is where it really matters, and you can see those kids in any sport grow more in JV from the first game to the last, I think,
Yes, sir.
than just about any. But we're excited to have you here. I know
Yeah, no
I've
doubt.
been following you for a long time as an athlete, and both now as a coach out here, and I'm excited to have you. And whether you come back here right after you finish up, or whether you come back 5 years after you've been touring around somewhere
Right.
else, we certainly do hope you come back to Greene County, because we need good young men here helping lead. So.
And that's one thing me and Garrett have talked about personally between one another is, you know, yes, we want him to come back here, but on the same token, I think it's very beneficial for a young coach like him to go out and see a little bit of a different side of things. But of course, we'd love to have him here from day one. So
Ideally, that you're exactly right. Get a few years under your belt, see a few different things, whether it's as a junior college or collegiate GA, or at a high school program. Just get another little sense of things,
See it from a different view.
and then come back here. But we want you here. I know I do, because I think we've got special kids here, and we need special people helping them grow, because I think you've benefited from that.
Yes, sir.
Through the years, having some good coaches to help guide you. So appreciate you being on. Nick, anything else for me?
Man, just glad to have you. Appreciate you coming on with us.
Appreciate y'all.
Y'all see Garrett on the street, make sure you thank him for all he does for us.
All right, good deal. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks.
If you've suffered an injury and are seeking justice for that injury, you don't have to leave town to find a personal injury lawyer. You need to call Joe Beard with Beard & Stewart's Attorneys at Law. Hometown lawyers helping hometown folks. Give Joe a call at 601-394-5900. And remember, go Cats, go!
All right, welcome back, folks. It was good to have Coach Jamil on, and Coach Garrett West, another future coach here, a current coach actually here at Greene County High School. And Russell, I just want to, as we close it up, just kind of get your take on those two guys and maybe the esports. I want to talk a little more about that.
Well,
what you think about it?
I hear the kids talk about Coach Jamil all the time. They really elevate him, and he stands out to them, and they really identify with him. Obviously, he's a young coach and excited about some of the same things that they're excited about, obviously, with esports. But I haven't really gotten a chance to know him, but the last few times I've been around him, we've gotten a little more familiar with one another, and I'm excited to have him here. And once again, I base my judgment on him more on what I hear the kids say.
Right.
Now, Garrett, I've known Garrett since he never was small, but I've known Garrett for a long time, and I know his folks, and I know what kind of family he comes from, but just a super athlete. I hate that he got hurt, because I think he had a very, very bright future in whichever sport he wanted to play.
Right.
And you know, that injury really slowed him down. But he's a quality kid, and I'm excited to one day get him back here. I did appreciate the fact that you alluded to maybe there's some value to getting that experience. I tell kids all the time, whether they're in athletics or whatever, nothing wrong with going away and finding yourself, but there's certainly nothing wrong with coming home either.
That's right. Well, you know, I coached Garrett in baseball, and his greatest attribute was not necessarily his hitting and throwing and fielding, but his leadership at all times on the field. He was that guy that was always talking, always telling this guy where to get and this guy where to get, and that's going to translate into his coaching career tremendously.
One of the things that was best to my heart, raised my spirits the most, is when he got to go play baseball at the collegiate level, and the first photo I got from that school was him stretching for a ball, and I'm telling you, he's just completely stretched out, making a play, and I think that's good that he got to finish on that level and get to do that. So you know, it's good times for him and good to have him here. We've got several things going on next week that I want to talk about real quick. On Tuesday night at the junior high level, the Sandhill Bucks will have homecoming, and they're hosting their cross-county rivals from McLean. So that's going to be a big game for everybody.
A fight the first time, a really good match, didn't it? They
Oh,
already
yeah,
played once, maybe 7-0 or something like that.
Might have been 14 tonight. I can't recall.
Yeah.
There's a lot of numbers floating around in my head, but a good game between them, and that's turned into a nice rivalry. And what I understand, that was a big crowd over at McLean, so I expect a huge crowd at Sandhill on Tuesday. And both those schools want to play well, and be exciting to see how they come out. Leaksville's junior high team is just tearing through upon us. They're 2-0
as usual.
I think they've 26-0 both times that they've played. They're running, they're passing. They got some scheduling things going on where they probably, unless they can add a game, won't play again until October. But you know, they kind of got kicked to the curb last year by a lot of their opponents that said, "Hey, we don't want to play you anymore." Yeah. And so, that, to their credit, they've gone out and found some games. And
well, that's been tough for them. Sure. You know, they've struggled for years finding people to play because they do beat everybody and they do run through everybody, like you said. And a lot of people just don't want to get beat up like that. A lot of people just want to get wins on their schedule, and if you want that, you don't schedule Leaksville. So.
Right. Well, and you know, and it's certainly not because, you know, it's not one of those situations like we're talking about where, you know, you're playing a 6A team. I mean, Leaksville's not that much bigger. They're certainly not bigger than the schools, a lot of the schools that dropped them from the schedule last year. We won't get into all that, but good for them, good for what they're doing down there, and I'm excited about that. The volleyball team took a loss at Summerall the other day, but I think they're kind of finding their way as well.
Well, you know, with them losing a couple weeks because of COVID, that really, you know, when you lose 2 weeks of practice, that puts you behind the 8 ball big time in any sport. I think that's what they're dealing with right now is just, you know, they had their season, they got it kicked off, and then boom, they had to go into quarantine and they missed that practice time, and now they're kind of playing catch up a little bit, and not to mention they're basically a brand new program still, and it's been good. The girls are competing, and
they clearly are enjoying themselves because I've talked to several of them. They're still upbeat and excited about playing, just enjoy being out there together and having that team bonding time and competing. And you know, we all like to compete. It's fun. JV
plays Monday night at Chickasaw, somewhere in Alabama.
Yeah, okay. So you know, Coach Jamil hinted to that about how they played. Not Jamil, but Garrett hinted to that about how well they played the other day. So a lot of things going on. I'm looking forward to Friday night, and hopefully we can have some highlights and some folks on next week. We want to get to the band. We're looking forward to having band director Kevin White on and all that they've got going on, and not just on the marching band side and competition side, but things he's got planned for concert band. And you know, once again, that's just one other way. You know, as a baseball coach, how many scholarships aren't available at the collegiate level and how that all plays out. But those band scholarships are for real.
Well, you know, we overlook the band a lot of times and how hard they work.
Oh,
you know,
man, yeah.
We thought we would have him on today, actually, to be honest with you. And he couldn't because they're practicing until 4 o'clock, and that's you know, that's the band. They work just as hard as any other athletic program does to be good at what they do.
Well, and I'm sorry, you got to be an athlete to play an instrument and march in unison and
have
do all
that breath, and
Oh,
there's a lot
absolutely.
into it, so.
So I'm with you on that. Total respect for that, cheerleading, and all
Yep.
the different things that we've got going on out here. Well, Nick, it's been great again.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
I'm enjoying it more and more every week. I hope folks out there in at home or wherever you're watching or enjoying this too. And if you got any suggestions for me or Nick, any questions, just you can send me an email at Herald, Herald @tds.net, and we'd love to hear from you.
And you can send me a donation at Nick Chatham PayPal.
Good deal.
No, I'm
Nick,
just kidding.
Had a great time. Folks, we'll see you next time on our next episode of Cat Talk.
All right.